Okay people, this is himself. Welcome back to another Tekken 7 Armor King guide. In this video, we're going to look at all the changes he got in Season 4. Let's start off with change number 1, 2-1. They increased the damage on the second hit, so now it does 15 rather than 12. Now what that means is it's now like King's, and that's how it should have been a long time ago. Nevertheless, it's a buff to his 10 frame Punisher. Change number 2, back plus 1-2. They increased the damage on the second hit, so now it does 17 rather than 15. So basically it's a buff to his 12 frame Punisher. But there is a bit more. In Season 4 they changed the scaling on wall combos, so basically everybody does a bit less. But this combo is an exception, because back plus 1-2 doesn't get scaled, it still does 100%. So what that means is that this is actually a double buff. Change number 3, hop kick. They increased the range. It's not a big increase, but it's definitely noticeable. Back in Season 3, Armor King had one of the shortest hop kicks in the game, and that meant that stuff that you should be able to punish, you couldn't. Now that's less of a problem, so basically it's another buff to his punishment. Change number 4, they increased the range on while standing 1. Again, like hop kick, this had terrible range, and it meant that his while standing punishment was poor. What people could do is abuse lows, because even if you block them, sometimes both hop kick and while standing 1 would miss, so the only thing you could rely on was while standing 4. Now though, we actually have punishers that work, and that's a serious buff. Change number 5, F plus 2-1. They increased the damage on the second hit, so now it does 25 rather than 20. Like 2-1, this is now like King's, and it means that Armor King now does more damage in 3 areas: whiff punishing, pushback block punishing, and wall carrying. Change number 6, DF1. The opponent is closer on hit. This is a good buff because DF1 is a good poking tool, and now we can actually make use of those plus frames. The best option is Giant Swing. This catches backdashes and it also catches sidesteppers. What you can also do is use Shining Wizard. The input for this can be tricky, but it does the same job. An alternative is D3. This doesn't do as much damage, but it hits the same options, and it's also plus 1. To stop them ducking, you can use D2. This is safe mid, and it also hits sidesteppers. Change number 7, DF2. This is now plus 4 on hit, and it's a buff because before it was minus 1. The best follow up is Shining Wizard. This catches standards, backdashes, and sidesteppers. To mix it up, you can use Giant Swing and Tombstone. The former can be sidestep left, but the latter will cover that. To stop them ducking, D2 is the way to go, and it also hits sidesteppers. Change number 8, FF2 is now minus 8 on block rather than minus 11. Now this is important because now we have a safe range to move out of crouch dash, and it also makes his other highs more effective. What we can also do is set up a punch reversal. Sometimes people will check you with a DF1, but now we can screw them over, and the punch parry will handle stuff from 10 frames to 16 frames. Now if you want to learn more about that, then check out my video on it. There's a link in the description and I'll put it on the end screen. Change number 9, FF3 is now plus 2 on block. What that means is that Giant Swing is now uninterruptible. But there is a bit more to this. If you go into Dark Step, the move becomes plus 4, and with the options we now have, there is a legitimate mix up. What that does is bring me to change number 10, Dark Step 2. This move, a low, now tailspins, and it means that off FF3 you now get an easy 60 plus damage. What it also does is affect his back plus 1 combo. Before you had to use an awkward side switch, and sometimes you wouldn't get what you wanted. Now you get a consistent 60 plus damage combo. Speaking of the side switch, we have change number 11, 3 plus 4. This now does 14 damage rather than 10, and that means that his side switch combo is still the most damaging option. Change number 12, DB24. The second hit now has lower range. What that does is affect his back plus 1 combo, but since Shadow Sweep does more damage, that's the option I'd go for. Change number 13, DB3. They increased the damage from 20 to 23, and they also made a homing move. Now this is a clear buff, but despite that I still wouldn't use it. The reason for that is that it's 23 frames, so it's seeable and it's launch punishable, and on top of that it's only a launch on count it, so to me the risk reward is just not worth it. Change number 14, back +4 is now -9 on block rather than -11, and they also made it +2 on hit rather than 0. Now what that means is that it's completely safe on block and you have some advantage on hit, but in the open they're too far away, so you can't make use of that +2, and despite that you should be landing the stunner every single time. Now if you want to know how to do that, I will be doing a video on it, so if you want to see it, make sure you subscribe. Change number 15, while standing 2 is now -9 rather than -10, and it's also +3 on hit rather than +2. Now what that means is that this move is actually usable. Back in season 3 it never made sense to me why a low damage counter hit launcher was also punishable. The only reason you would ever use it is if you had a hard read. Now there's a bit more utility. Your best setup is probably after get up 3 or D2. Both of these give plus frames on hit, so the trap is set. To get people to twitch, you can use full crash DF2 or FF3. Both of these are launchers and they also grant plus frames. An alternative is from crouch dash. What you do is crouch dash, neutral and then back +2, and if you time it right you will get while standing 2. The only problem with this is that it's really easy to get dark upper, and that's not what you want sometimes. Change number 16, while running 3. They increase the lower range of the attack. What that means is that you can now use it as a wall combo, especially when you have to dash far. Change number 17, up for 3. They increase the lower range of the attack. What that means is that in some combos the knee is a bit more consistent, but besides that I haven't noticed anything else. Change number 18, they increase the tracking on Giant Swing and Tombstone. Now any buff to Armor King's main tools is more than welcome, but personally I haven't noticed much difference. Both of these throws can still be evaded, so if there has been a change it's probably minor. Change number 19, Hades drop can now be buffered. Now this is a buff, but in terms of a throw mix up is not such a big deal because we already have DDT and Shining Wizard. But the change has opened up some new options and I will be covering those in another video, so if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe. And finally, change number 20, we got a new move, Shadow Step 1. Now on its own it's not so good, but when you couple it with FF3 it's crystal clear what this move is for, and it's actually very useful. I could go into detail about it, but I've already done a video on it, so what you guys should do next is check that out. Beyond that, there are more Armor King videos coming, so keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, have fun, play well, and I'll see you guys in the future.